Welcome to this week's episode of Running Tales, and we've got a treat for you this week. We have Stephen Rolland, who is a Northampton runner, and we'll find out which club it is during the tale, and is an author of the book. I'll let him say. What is the book? I've just gone blank.
Inspired by an orange.
Sorry. Inspired by an orange. So over to Stephen. Please share your running tale.
Cool. Where do you want me to start? I mean, I suppose I certainly didn't decide consciously to ever fall into running, and I certainly didn't decide to write a book consciously either. So both have kind of just naturally sort of happened.
So
I suppose the backstory.
So when did you actually introduce running in your life? Is it something that's always been there since school, or are you a late runner like myself and many others?
I was late doing it myself, but athletics was around when I was young. So my mum used to take us down to Crystal Palace to go and watch the athletics. At the time, one of her friends was a guy called Phil Green, who was running, I think he was the manager at the time of Team GB, and he did a bit for Haringey Athletics Club. So, you know, we would go and watch the athletes run, then we'd be backstage. So I've bumped into Paula Radcliffe when she was first breaking through. I've still got a medal that Colin Jackson gave to me because he was running at that particular event, and he was just giving away because they weren't really major tournament medals. The likes of Linford Christie, Sally Gunnell, they were all normal, and we were just running. They would just pop by, grab some food, have a drink, and that was that. So that was my kind of exposure to athletics. I'd
just like to stop you there and say every listener right now is so jealous of you. Like that was right in front of you, and you're just like, yeah, it was just one of those things.
It was normal. He'd go off and there'd be a meet somewhere, whether they're going to Germany or France or wherever they were going at the time, and he'd always come back, bring my mum something, and drop something off with us as well. It was athletics. It was just a normal thing. I never really took anything up myself, so I was very, very, very different as a kid. Up until I was about 17, I was extremely short. So I actually had a condition growing up which was called growth hormone deficiency, which in a nutshell meant that I was 4'6" up until I was about 17.
Okay. So
I didn't really fit into sports because it's no good being a footballer when you're 4'6" and all your mates are 6 foot tall by now, because you just cannot compete. You haven't got the build, you haven't got the structure, you can't do it. What I used to do was I used to like crazy challenges, and you got your normal thing as a young kid where you go and do dares. Mine would be jumping off of a roof of a house and doing absolute stupid things. That was me, and it wasn't really running. Didn't really come into it until I was probably, I think I was coming up to 30.
Okay.
I can remember working on a Friday. I used to call it Fatty Fridays, where you go off from McDonald's, bring it back, sit in the office, have a natter, eat your quarter pounder with cheese and your chips and your extra large Coke. And they wanted people to start signing up to raise a little bit of money for cancer research. It was a kind of national charity for Tesco at the time. And I went, okay, yeah, I'll go and do a dare. Okay, why don't you go and run a 5K or a 10K? No, I'm not going to do it. No. I quite fancy doing a half marathon.
Oh, right, okay.
And that was literally how I'd got into it. So my first ever running experience wasn't a park run. It wasn't even a lap around the block. It was a half marathon over at the Great North.
Oh, wow. Just the best half marathon in the UK.
Yeah. And I can remember doing, I didn't know what I was doing at all. When I first bought my first pair of trainers, I walked into a store at work, and it was a proper runner store, and it had all the apparel and all the outfits and everything else. And I can remember sitting there saying to the guy, and he's like, right, what are you going to do? What do you need? What do you need? Are you overpronator? Are you underpronating? Do you need size shorts? Do you need this? Do you need that? What sort of nutrition? What's your stuff? And you're sitting there going, mate, I ain't got a clue. Like, well,
As long as it's got laces.
Yeah, I just need a pair of trainers. I'm going to run the Great North. Oh, that's wonderful, brilliant, great for you. Right, okay. Well, what else do you need from me? Well, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so you've brought your running gear with you. I haven't got any running gear. Yeah, well, how are you going to test the trainers? What do you mean I need to test the trainers? What? I thought you just tell me a pair of trainers and it's like buying a pair of trainers at a normal stop. You just put a pair of trainers and go, oh, they look pretty. Yeah, all right, they'll do it. And off we go. No, it was nothing like that. So I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Even with my training, I spent my entire time for my first ever run training on a treadmill. And I generally got to the first race. And about 10 miles in, I was suffering with what I now know as a sort of ITB pain. So my knee was really painful. You get that stabbing sensation come through your knee every time it bends. It was horrible. And I couldn't for life of me work out why it was taking so long to run this race. I'd not worked out. I'd done all my training on a treadmill. Treadmills are in kilometers.
Yes.
And a half marathon is in miles. So I thought I'd run to 10 miles on a treadmill and I hadn't. I'd done 10K. Okay. And then turned up to a half marathon, wondering why 10 miles was taking longer than 10K. So that was kind of how I started. And since then, it's become almost like a bit of a love affair and a bit of an addiction, really.
I can understand Great North Run, you know, how you become addicted from that race. I've done it myself. I understand the buzz, the atmosphere, mile 11 where you got the beer, and if you knew about it, and you know, just it's out of this world, the support all the way around the course. Well, was this just, you know, this is your first race and you're at the start line. Just explain the feeling, you know, because you've been on a treadmill. This is your first time, trainers on, outside. Explain it, you know, those emotions.
For me, most of it was a mix of excitement, panic, nerves, a little bit of fear. It's a strange feeling because, I mean, I'm not very good, and I'm still not very good on start lines. I'm a bag of nerves at the best of times. And people wonder why I've always got a pair of sunglasses on or why my eyes are closed and I've got my earbuds in. It's normally because that's my calming mechanism. You know, with my headphones and with my sunglasses on, you can't see my eyes are shut. I'm not looking at what's ahead of me. I don't look at what's ahead of me until I hear the whistle or the gun go off, and then I move.
Yeah.
So that's my calming mechanism. To stand at the front of the start line of the Great North with so many people is quite inspiring, and I mean, and still for me, it's one of my favourite sites. If I've gone up for the weekend, and you see the little stone-built bus shelters with the little green roofs on the top, and I'm instantly back into, oh, I can't wait. And you get off the bus, and there's a little bridge that they use it to film on the BBC, so you can see the back of the start line. If you get there early enough and you stand on that bridge, you just take that moment and you look backwards and you kind of go, wow, this is absolutely amazing. For as far as your eye can see, there is just a motorway, both sides, left and right, all the lanes open, of pure colour. And it doesn't matter what you are, you know, you could be tall, short, fat, thin, 80 years of age, 18-year-old. It just doesn't matter. Every single person all of a sudden is an equal. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Everyone is equal.
Did you get
They're all there for their own story.
Did you get the red arrows come over you as well? Yeah.
Yeah. So again, depends on where you are in the starting line. Because obviously, if you're at the back and you're in like green zone or pink zone, it's going to take you 45 minutes just to walk from the back of the queue to the start line. And when the red arrows come over, depending on where you're on the course, it's phenomenal. I've been there when they've come over at the exact point where I've gone over the Tyne Bridge. And that really is the kind of the picture moment that you imagine when you see it on, you know, the television or on your phone or on YouTube or wherever you're looking. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feeling.
So you're going through the race. You've been training on a treadmill on your own, I take it. No one else with you.
No.
You've got all these wonderful people. And I say wonderful because I'm saying they're motivating you. So I'm hoping that you motivate people back, being a runner yourself. It just naturally happens. Did this make you realize, what did I do in my training? I should get outside more or join a club or, you know?
No, honestly, no. So until you got to the end, I hadn't even realized that treadmills were in kilometers up until I'd finished the race. And then spoke to someone and they went, you know, they're in kilometers, right? No, what? So I hadn't got a clue. The key factor where I realized I'd done something wrong was that I'd left my phone clocking the loops in kilometers, and the phone telling you that you'd gone through 11, 12, 13, 14, and now you're going 14, what? And then you can see the road signs that are in miles, and the numbers are different between what's going in your head and what's coming through your eyes. And then you realize something's not quite right and you've miscalculated somewhere. But no, I probably did 3 or 4 years of turning up to do the Great North, not doing anything else at all for an entire year, just going back to sitting down and doing nothing. Okay. And then decided that actually I need to go and join a running group of some sort, because I need to learn how to do this so that it's not quite as tough, and actually I kind of enjoy it. So actually I want to get better at it for me, because it was giving me a sense of freedom, a sense of self-confidence, and it was making me feel good about myself. So I wanted to go and join like-minded people that would help me carry on that experience and get better.
So who was the first club you joined, and are you still with them?
No, I'm not. My first club I ever joined was actually Northampton Roadrunners.
Okay, right, yes.
And I mean, they were very welcoming. The days worked great for me. They've got some great routes around there. Roger Taylor, I think, was the first guy that I met.
Who's now
very, very welcoming. Yeah. And I can remember running behind, I think it was Charlotte, and there was one other girl, I want to say Kelly Bishop, who used to try and sort of partner up with me on the training runs and get me through things. But, you know, the truth be told, I was just I wasn't ready for such a big club. I found big groups really, really, really awkward and really intimidating. And very quickly, I did all the things you shouldn't do when you're trying to get used to being in a new environment. You know, I didn't turn up for the social events. I didn't turn up every single week for training. I avoided all the things that you would do so we start to interact with each other. I was just not very good at it. And I ended up leaving.
But you off?
I swore blind.
Did it off running? I know it's so stupid, but when you go through that period, like I've had my own experiences with big clubs, and it didn't put myself off. It made me more determined to do something about what I found was missing in the big clubs that I could do for myself, and then it went on to help other people. With you being intimidated, and obviously, it changed your mindset. It must have, to some point, to say, right, I need to step back. What did you do?
I went back to running on my own for quite a bit.
Oh, that's good. You didn't stop completely.
So I kept it up. And I did do a little bit more in terms of sort of, trying to get out once a week, and eventually I kind of went, maybe I won't do a club. Maybe I'll just do a small pocket social group locally. And on I was looking on Facebook one day, and a group called Kids or Runners turned up. And at the time I was living in Kislingbury, so it was like my local village group. There was probably, 6 of them, something like that. None of them were, as I would, none of them felt intimidating. There was 1 or 2 that were obviously very good, but everybody else was just, we were just out for a social run and a cup of tea afterwards. And that suddenly became an every week thing.
Yeah.
And that helped to settle my nerves and get me feeling more confident about what I was doing. And then from then it got to a point where I'd swore blind I would never join another club ever again, and probably 4 months into that experience, a guy called Paul came along, And he was like, I think, you know, you could go and join our club. We're really, really tiny. In fact, we're almost so small that, you know, England Athletics doesn't want us to be a club anymore. And if you join, it doesn't cost you any money. We're going to give you a free hoodie. We'll give you a free t-shirt. You can come out on a Tuesday night with us. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Keep the t-shirt and the hoodie and just go away again. I'm like, so it's a free hoodie for no money. All right, yeah, I could do that. That's okay. And I've never looked back since. You know, Human Energy has become my family, and it's been a fantastic experience. And the fact that it was a slightly smaller club has meant that, you know, my nerves were nowhere near as bad. And actually now I'm quite comfortable in bigger groups. And it's been a really, really, really good learning experience for me.
So it sounds like you really grew with them mentally as a personal experience, not just with the running inside.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And a lot of that has got to do with surrounding yourself with, you know, the right people, but also the right setup for you. You know, if, you know, in my situation, knowing that you're not that confident in major groups, actually putting yourself in a smaller group just makes it a bit easier for you to get into the swing of things. It doesn't mean to say that where you were at, or that Northampton Road Runners for me was, you know, it's not a bad club. It was never a bad club. I wasn't right at the time. And where I'm at now is much different. If I went to NRR now, I'd be totally fine. But it's a fabulous experience.
So you're a runner, so we know a bit about your running story.
Officially I'm a runner, yeah.
Now let's get on about your writing, because you've combined the two. We know you've got a book inspired by an orange. Have you always been a writer, or is this your first book that you've published? No,
it's the first time I've ever put anything down.
Oh, wow.
And a little bit like sort of walking into your first race. I didn't set out to do it. I was actually, so there was an advert that came out from Great Run about 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. And they were actually asking people just to write a kind of a one-pager about their first Great North Run experience. It was going to be one of those things where they pick out their favorite things and stick it into the magazine that everyone gets that says, hey, you're in, you know, come enjoy the race. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go and put mine down. And one page became 2 pages, written waiting for a delayed flight back from Ibiza airport at the time with the kids. And it just got shelved and put down, and I didn't really feel the need to do anything on it. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, and she just encouraged me to continue it and expand on it and make it 3 or 4 pages long. And the next thing you know, you've got that first race written out. And then it still wasn't a case of, I want to go and write a book. It was just, I quite enjoy the writing process. I'm going to pick another part of a race experience to write about. So I wrote about Edinburgh. And then it became talking about joining running clubs. And then it just kind of naturally just kept coming out until eventually you've got, you know, a book.
Well, the title stands out, you know, inspired by an orange. You have to explain the title. I know, but if you can share with the listeners.
Okay, so on that very first race over at Great North, I got to about 10 miles in, and anyone that knows the route, you start the John Reed Road climb, which is the one that everyone says, oh, it's, you know, it separates all the runners. It's so tough. It's really hilly. It's not that hilly. No. It's just
speed bump.
It's just that the course is actually quite a lumpy course. Yeah. And we all go off like a train because we've got so absorbed by the atmosphere and all the high fives and everything else. So by the time you get to the very slight incline at the end, you're knackered. It feels really hard. So I'd started this climb. I've got the ITB problem that over in my knee. And I can just remember going round the roundabout, and there's a set of railings on the left-hand side where there's like a little Sainsbury's Metro, or Sainsbury's local on the corner. And I can remember leaning over these railings. And it kind of sums up the Great North with what happens. You've got this little kid, he's probably about 8 or 10 years old, just, you know, standing on the sideline with his dad. He's got his own little orange that he's brought with him for, you know, for a snack. That's his. It wasn't for everybody else. It was his. And there's me over the railings feeling sorry for myself, not sure whether or not you can carry on, not necessarily in a great place, and being in a lot of pain. And he breaks open this orange and literally looks at me, gives me half of it and says, you know, you need to eat half my orange. This will make you run faster.
Oh, bless.
And you sort of go, oh, okay, yeah. So you eat the orange. Then you do what you automatically feel you have to do in front of a child. You now tear off up the hill because you've now got to make it look like that orange has turned you into Superman. And you look backwards to see whether or not he's going, yeah, Dad, look what I've gone and done. So that's exactly what I did. And I finished the race. And I think that moment for me was the difference between me going, I love running, I love the races, I love the Great North, and the support that you get is absolutely fantastic. You know, the locals there really do feel as though that is their race. It's not yours, it's theirs.
Yes.
They own it. It's all about the Northeast. We're going to show you what the Northeast is all about. And it's just such a friendly, amazing atmosphere. And there's nothing like it. That moment was the difference for me between packing it all in because it really hurt and it's painful, and going, I've got to go and do this again. And every year, and I've done 9 of them now, and every year I go back and I still look for the same kid. And I know he's not a 10-year-old kid anymore.
He's like 6 foot plus now, lanky.
But I'm still looking for a little 10-year-old kid in a red England top going, he must be here somewhere. Come on, where is he?
It'll be a magpie top, just correct you there.
Well, no, because it was more South Shields by that point, so he'll probably be in a Sunderland top. But yeah, so and that's what did it. So it was like, it just kind of fell out. I realized that whole kind of process of carrying on training, doing more races, joining the club, making the friends that I've got now, all come back to one little 10-year-old kid and an orange.
So you would not have written this book if you had not started running. Is that what you're telling me? Because that's what's coming across here.
Yeah, definitely not.
You just never had that passion inside before. I want to write a book, you know, it's on my bucket list. It just naturally came from writing a page. So the Great North Run has a lot to answer for your life and how it's turned out.
Yeah.
In a positive way, it does, in a very positive way. So you've said like you've got 2 children. Are they young? Do you get them involved in the kids running? Or are they too young? You know,
my eldest at the minute is 8. Well, no, she's 8 in a couple of weeks' time. My youngest is 5. We'll do odds little things. So, you know, the 5-year-old has come for a couple of laps around the block, and we'll do 1 or 2 miles as a little jog as a family and go around, that kind of thing. The eldest has done a couple of races. So she's done, she did park run over at Upton. So she did the full adults park run.
That's your local, Kislingbury?
Yep.
Upton, yes.
Yep. She's gone up to Great North, and on the weekend of the Great North, they do the mini junior run. So she's gone and done that once, and the youngest now wants to go and do the same. And she's done the Kislingbury 2K kiddies run a couple of times as well. So she's starting to get into that, and she's got running club at school, which is chaired by the deputy head, who's a keen runner as well. So
I'm not sure
you're starting to go down that process.
Are you aware that when park run starts again, that there is going to be a junior park run at the racecourse? So
yes, so they'll be there.
I was part of the core team to set that up, so you know, it's definitely going ahead. And I want to see you there volunteering on a Sunday morning, 9 o'clock.
Not a problem. They will be there, and I'm sure to help out. So, but yeah, they like it, and it's nice that it's something that we can do as a family that's good for them. My oldest is not necessarily the most confident either, so her finding that she can go and do things and then refer back to something and find that it's something that her friends haven't done gives her a lot of self-confidence, so that now she'll try other things as well, because, well, if I can do that and it felt hard, but I still did it, I can do these other things too.
So running really has come into the family unit. And do you feel like you've inspired not only your daughters, but other people, friends, other family members?
My sister started running for her health about a year ago now. I don't tend to look at it as something that, I've inspired it, because I kind of think that's almost kind of like sort of grabbing your medals and waving them about. But I like to think that that I can help someone. So there've been times when I've gone onto a park run course, and you've spotted someone that's having a bad day and they're really struggling. And my idea of running a fast time or a PB goes out the window at that point, and I just stop, pull up next to them, and I just jog round, and I keep encouraging them around the circuit, and I get them round to the finish line. And I get just as much out of that as what I do out of my own times or finishes or anything like that. So seeing my sister start to pick up running, and she's starting to run. She's not quite got to the point whereby she can run 5K end to end yet. But to see her start to do something is massive for her. And then that's meant that her partner, fiance now, he started to get involved. So now he's doing a little bit of running as well. And now it's become kind of a thing for them. So yes, at the minute, I think she's 5 months pregnant at the minute, or 6 months pregnant. So she's not doing quite as much as what she was before, but I'm sure it's something that she'll go back to once the baby's here. And it'll just be something that helps them, keep them a bit more fit and healthy, and gives them something to go and do.
So you've written the book. We'll go back to the book. Do you have another one now that you seem to have got the writer's bug?
Not at the moment. I think there probably will be something else that I go and do. But
what about
there's more adventures to have yet.
What about experience during lockdown? The lockdown mile.
I've kind of covered a couple of bits of that in the existing one, because that's been so different for everybody.
Yeah.
And it depends on which side of the coin you've gone to. Some people have gone one way where all of a sudden they're doing way more exercise than what they've ever done before, and they're like, this is amazing, I've got more time to myself. For other people who are quite routine driven, this has been really difficult. And for me, I went through, so just before lockdown, I went through the breakdown of my marriage. So I'd done the whole kind of like, you've got a breakup, you've moved out of the house, everything's locked down, you've had a change of address, you're dealing with all the change routines around your children. So actually running became really hard, because although it's therapeutic, just to put one foot in front of another for a couple of miles it's mentally really challenging, because you're used to being able to just almost like a bit of hypnosis. You can slip back into that state of mind where you're just chugging miles out, and you couldn't really tell where you've been. You can't really tell how far you've gone. You're just having that kind of semi-conscious, half asleep sort of thing. For a driver, it's that thing where you get in the car, you drive your journey to work, and you don't know what you've passed. You've got there, you've left, but the bit in between, you've got no idea. And that's kind of the process that you get when you go out for a run and you're really used to it. But to turn up and find actually you're now remembering every single yard as you're making it, is quite a challenge. And
going through the bad, and sorry to hear sad news,
that's right,
finding running is helping you mentally, because there is a lot of talk of mental health, and it's great that we're now able to talk freely, share our feelings. There's this tendency to say, especially for me, men don't open their feelings. Are you someone that opens up?
To the right people, yes. There are things obviously that I won't talk about and would never talk about to people that are on my kind of outer circle.
Yeah, but I'm saying more about not the details of this. I'm saying about like, oh, I've had a bad run. Would you share that with your group? Like on Sunday just gone, I had the mental run you explained. I was running, but the more I was running, I was finding it hard mentally to make that next step. But I was like, I've got to do it. And I did actually increase a couple of miles on, because I knew if I kept going, I would clear my head.
Yeah.
And then I came back after that run, and I was honest with my running group and said, I just had, running's meant to help you mentally, but I had a really bad run, but I know it was better for me to go out than to not go out. Would you be open like that, or are you open in your group, Human Energy? Are runners open like that? with each other?
Yeah, we're very, very, very open. Yeah, very open. And that's part of the kind of the healing process for anyone. You know, we can all have, doesn't matter what you're going through, you could be going through nothing and it just happens to be a bad run in your opinion. But actually my bad runs are still better than a lot of people's really good runs. And you have to kind of remind yourself of that, you know, your bad day at the office to you, actually to somebody else could be like their 5K PB for all they know.
Yeah.
So you have to level that off. Providing you can talk about things though, it's a really nice open area to go and be in. And actually it's incredibly therapeutic. If you can find that kind of, that mechanism to control the mental chatter, then it can be brilliant for you. I mean, I always go back to a very short line and I repeat it time and time again when things are not necessarily going to plan. And there are times where they don't go to plan. Yeah. And that is, you run the mile you're in. So this mile might be rubbish. The next mile might be amazing. Yeah. But you need to stick within this mile. And I stick with that even if I'm turning up to a half marathon or 10K, whatever I'm doing at the time, because it keeps your mind focused in the moment that you're dealing with. And all the other miles are irrelevant. It doesn't matter how far you've gone at that point. It doesn't matter how far you got to go. What matters is that moment that you're in right now. And providing you focus on that, you don't then beat yourself up over the pace, whether or not it's faster than what you want, slower than what you want, or oh, I've got another 5 to go. You just focus on, it's this mile. I'm just doing this, and that's it.
So when we're free, because we are in February 2021 at the moment, and you know races start up again, I can tell straight away you're going to book the next Great North.
Oh yeah.
What other races do you have in mind to book?
So I've got a few that are booked for this year. A lot of them were rolled over from what was cancelled last year, a bit like everybody else.
Yeah, long list.
So yeah, it's a long list. It's a long list. I'm really looking forward to when Parkrun opens up again, just to see familiar faces. I've got no desire to go out, stand at the front and just burst around it. I generally just want to see those faces that I haven't seen for a while and go, hey, how you doing? We're back. We've made it. We've survived this crazy year. Race wise, Great North will be there 100%. I'm looking forward to Edinburgh if it goes on.
What's distant?
So Edinburgh has 4 races, and there's a good chance, depending on how my fitness is and how my body's feeling at the time, I'm either going to turn up and run 3 out of the 4, or I'm going to do all 4 on the same weekend. And which is, they call it hairy haggis.
Have you done all 4 before separately?
No. I've only done the half.
Okay.
And there's a trick to it. So to do all 4, the 5K and the 10K are on the Saturday, and there's a nice big space between the 2, and they both start and finish from the same area, so that's okay. The Sunday gets a bit tricky because you've got an 8 a.m. start in Edinburgh for the half marathon.
Yes.
It then runs out to Musselburgh, and that's where you finish. You then have to get a bus back from Musselburgh to the same start line again to run the marathon. And you need to do that by, it's about 10:30 is when the last runner crosses the starting mat. So you've got 2.5 hours to run a half marathon and travel 20 minutes back home again.
Wow. Okay. So what's your average time on a half marathon at the moment?
I'm about 1:40.
Nothing. That's really good.
About.
And you can do it. You know, more importantly, you can do it. You know, but so you'll be fine. It's just up to the bus to get you back to the start line.
Except that after 1:40 half marathon, I'm not sure I've got 26 miles in my legs afterwards. So. And
I've done Edinburgh Marathon, and I tell you, it's pretty flat, really, because considering it is pretty flat. The steepest hill is at 2.5 miles when you're coming out of the city. So yeah, if you're doing the same route on the half, then
it's the exact same route on the half. It's just that whereas you guys sort of go past Musselburgh Racecourse and you extend up a little bit more and then come back in, we kind of do a U-turn at Musselburgh Racecourse and then come back in on ourselves. So it's another story. So when I went and did the half marathon there, which was must have been 2019. So I'd done all this training. I'd finally got sort of my head into the right place where I could focus and actually train properly and run right and feel good. And I turned up with one of my running friends from the club, Tim. Me and Tim were very similar kind of in pace.
Okay.
He was looking for about a 140 to 145. I was going, I really want to break 140. You know, I want this to be the first time where I break 140. So we end up deciding that we're going to run this race together. So we go through the first mile, 2 miles, we're chatting away, and you're going through, and you come in and you take a little look at your watch, and you're like, oh, we're bang on schedule here, Tim, for about 140. Should we just stick together for a few more miles? Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Okay, fine. We're still chatting away, and we get to about mile 6, mile 7, mile 8. 8 comes round, and I start to hit my bad patch, which is quite normal. 8 to 11 for me is the bit where my head kind of goes, hold on a minute, we're working quite hard here, but you've not stopped. Yeah. And this can't be your casual long run pace because you're working much faster. It's what we're doing. Do we want to slow down? Do we want to stop? Do you want to carry on? What do you want to do? Yeah. So I start to go through that kind of process for a mile, 2 miles of just generally having to really keep chatting to myself to keep myself going. Tim starts to eke ahead of me, and I'm literally following his shorts, trying to make sure that I'm in this kind of channel of hitting this 140 bracket. Anyway, we go around Musselburgh and we come round the little cones, we come back on yourself and the wind's blowing in your face. And I look up, and it's about 10.5 miles in, 11 miles in. I look up and there's Tim coming at me from the opposite direction. At some point, I've overtaken him, passed him, had no idea that I've passed him, and left him behind. So he's gone for his bad patch as well. And I've just gone, cheers, thanks for dragging me through mine, mate. Sorry, bye. And just gone past him.
So what did you do? Did you wait, or did you think?
No. It was so close for the 140 bracket. I knew I was close. And I was like, well, I can't slow down for it. I've got to keep going. I've got to keep going. Went through, got the time that I was after. I think I got a 139.53 something. So it was like scraping the barrels to get over the line. And then did the worst thing you can do when you finish a race, where you just suddenly, you cross the line, you stop dead. All your breathing, all your pulse rate suddenly goes boom. Yeah. And you go, I come round, I'm in the recovery tent. I've got no idea because I haven't checked my watch. I haven't stopped the thing when I crossed the line. So I don't know what I've done. Tim's standing outside going, what are you doing in the recovery tent for? Like, you just went past me. What are you doing there? I'll be fine. Don't worry. I'll be back out in a minute. So, yes, that's Edinburgh.
So when is to round this off then, Stephen, when is your book out, or is it currently out?
I'm literally just finishing off some of the proofing at the minute. Once that's done, I'm hoping that'll be done in the next few weeks. And then that's it. Give it probably another month, and everything will be out and about and
will it be
everywhere?
It'll be everywhere. So that's Inspired by an Orange by Stephen Rolland. So I'm excited to read it too. And thank you, Stephen, for sharing your running tale.
No worries. Thank you.